My name is Adriaan Schout. I'm a political analyst from the Netherlands Institute of International Relations. My field of expertise is the European Union more widely, and one of the things, of course, I'm interested in is the relations between the Netherlands and the EU. Now, that has been a very strained relation, and it has been very misinterpreted in politics in the Netherlands, but also in the international media. The Netherlands has been depicted as a highly critical EU member state, and as a matter of fact it seems that the Netherlands is moving away more and more from the EU, and that it becomes louder in tone against European integration, and some of our ministers probably contributed to that image of the Netherlands. That image of the Netherlands comes across in many policy areas. One of the probably bravest or wildest thing that the Netherlands has done is actually to veto the enlargement of the Schengen zone for Romania and Bulgaria. This was seen as something really critical of European cooperation and a very unfriendly move. Moreover, the Netherlands has been highly visible in the debates about the European budget. The Netherlands wants to have a lower EU budget, and we also want to know exactly what it's spent on, and we're very critical in the Netherlands of, for example, agricultural funds in the EU and regional funds. Do they really contribute? Do they belong to a modern EU budget? We've also been very visible in the debates about helping Greece and Spain and Italy, including Ireland, and the Netherlands have had a very harsh tone towards the solutions in the euro area. If you add this up and include other policy fields, then really the impression exists that the Netherlands has become very critical of European integration. Now, we also have the debate about deeper integration, making the EU more federal, and also in that policy area has the Dutch government been very critical, and the Prime Minister has repeatedly stated, for example in the Financial Times, that we do not want to have a federal union. So the whole image that is being created is one of the Netherlands turning its back on European integration. Now that is an important thing to actually analyze, because the Netherlands is not an irrelevant country in the EU. It is maybe not one of the bigger countries like France and Germany, but it is one of the sort of swing states in the EU. We are one of the richer countries in the EU. We're also one of the countries with a very lively debate on European integration, and we also have a very flexible political system. So when the society becomes more EU critical, we can immediately see that in how parties behave, and new parties can come or die out very quickly. So I have a very flexible political system where you can really see the developments of European integration in the society. So in that sense we are a bit of a pennant or a swing state, if you like. So it is actually interesting to look at the Netherlands and whether this image of the Netherlands as a critical EU country is a viable image, or is it really true? It may, for example, tell us something about Germany. We will see Germany elections in 2013. It may be actually interesting to see how the Dutch elections went in 2012 and how the EU was part of that election. If you analyze the Dutch situation, you might actually find that the Netherlands is not so critical of the EU, despite some of the noises that are being created. The reason that the Netherlands has been so critical of enlargement of Schengen is simply because the Netherlands has learned the lessons of premature accession of countries that do not have the legal systems to actually participate in European integration projects such as Schengen. Schengen would be weakened if, for example, corruption in these countries isn't really addressed sufficiently. The limitations to the EU budget are also quite understandable, because, for example, agricultural policy is a policy that really stems from the past, yet it is still 1/3 of the EU budget. So if we go along the list of complaints that the Netherlands has had, one might actually understand the Dutch position, and there's no reason to conclude that the Netherlands is critical of the EU, but it's probably more interesting to look at the arguments that the Netherlands has and try to see whether they are actually constructive for the future of European integration. Similarly, yes, the Netherlands has vetoed the constitution in 2005. That wasn't done because of a dislike of the EU. There's actually a very good reason for vetoing the constitution, because in many ways it was a bridge too far and the EU could perfectly live without. Now we have debates about deeper integration, and they will probably lead to a referendum as well. And if it will be vetoed at that point again, it doesn't mean that the Netherlands again is against European integration. It just may mean that the whole federal the discussion about federalization of the EU has to develop in such a way that it is sound, defendable in the public, and that the public also accepts it. So actually it might be good to understand more carefully what is happening in the Netherlands and what that does tell us about the role of society in the European integration project. Dismissing criticism as being anti-European, that does not do justice to the public, and it may actually turn our backs towards the lessons that we could learn also for other countries. Therefore, the Netherlands, summarizing it as an EU critical country, would really stifle the intellectual debate on the future of Europe.